Hi friends, we are back to writing today and we are now working on session 6 where we are going to reread our stories like detectives. Before we get going too far on this lesson though, I just want to give you this reminder of how we are adding details to our story. So the first thing we did was we thought of an idea, a thing that we do or a thing that happened to us. We made a plan and then we wrote our story. So our plan started out as just a couple words on top of each page, and then we added details. So my story grew from just these little bit of words and one sentence sometimes at the top to a full page of writing. Your stories should look a lot like mine. You should have several pages full of writing. So that was the first part. The next part that we talked about was bringing our stories to life. We unfreeze people by making them move and talk, telling small steps of what happened, and bringing the inside out, making people feel and making people think. So I'm going to read my story to you right now, and we're just going to do a little review of how my story has grown. So when I first wrote my story and we told it across our fingers, I was telling the story of when Freddie howled with excitement one day. So we finished dinner. Freddie ran to the yard. I said, "Let's go." She howled and we played. So that was the first part of my story, but I was not done yet. Then I went back and I wrote a little bit. It was a beautiful evening. We had full tummies from eating a delicious dinner. And that was where I stopped the first time. She looked at us so frisky. That was the next part that I wrote. 1, 2, 3, let's go, I yelled. All at once, we stood up and ran to the yard. That was the last part there. Freddie got so excited, she let out a howl. Oh, she doesn't howl often, so we knew she was excited. The last part that I wrote said, we chased her in the yard and had the best time. We played until she was all worn out and she was done playing. So that was my next part. Pretty good. But then as we kept uncovering more details and exploring our stories, we added a lot more interest to our stories. Now I'm going to read the whole thing to you with all the details that I've added. It was a beautiful evening. We had full tummies from eating a delicious dinner. Freddie knew we were done eating and she wanted to play. She ran to the grass. She looked at us so frisky. She tilted her head and huffed at us. I looked at Guinevere and Jude and had an idea. I smiled mischievously and playfully at them. 1, 2, 3, let's go, I yelled. All at once, we stood up and ran to the yard. We thundered in our bare feet and full bellies into the green grass where Freddie was waiting with her squeaky toy. Her ears were up and alert as we stepped on the grass. Freddie got so excited that she let out a howl. Ow! She doesn't howl often, so we knew she was excited. Ow! She howled again. Then she snatched up her favorite Scooby-Doo squeaky toy and bounded down the yard joyfully. Of course, we chased her. We chased her in the yard and had the best time. She grabbed her toy bunny with her teeth and ran in circles, figure eights, back and forth, dodging us all. Her pink tongue was hanging out of her smiling mouth as she panted and played. The sky went from blue to white to pink and orange as the sun set. We played until she was all worn out. The mosquitoes emerged and she was done playing. So that's my whole story. It started out as just these little itty bitty words at the top, and it grew into this whole thing that I know you were able to imagine. Is your story at that point yet? Do you have 3 or more sentences on each page? If not, you might need to pause and add some details to your writing. So, what we're talking about today is rereading like detectives. So I have 2 pages, this one right here and this one right here, that I want to look at really closely today. So will you be detectives with me and quickly study my 2 pages? Specifically, I want you to pay attention to my punctuation. And punctuation means my capitals and my periods. So let's look at this page first. And I'll zoom in just a little bit so you can see it even better. 1, 2, 3, let's go, I yelled. All at once we stood up and ran to the yard. We thundered in our bare feet and full bellies into the green grass where Freddie was waiting with her squeaky toy. Her ears were up and alert as we stepped on the grass. Whoa, I ran out of breath while reading that one. My goodness. So I'm going to go ahead and read the next page and we'll see what happens with that one. Howl. Freddie got so excited that she let out a howl. Ow! She doesn't howl often, so we knew she was excited. Ow! She howled again. Then she snatched up her favorite Scooby-Doo squeaky toy and bounded down the yard joyfully. Of course we chased her. So what do you notice about the punctuation on the 2 pages? What I noticed is I had a hard time getting out all the words without losing my breath on this page. But on this page, I was able to breathe just fine as I read it. What I notice is on this page, I have exclamation points, commas, exclamation point, exclamation point. I have a period. So I have lots of punctuation on this page. On this page, I'm noticing that I kind of forgot to put the periods. I know one thing for sure. I know for sure that I need a period at the very end. So I should always have a period at the very end of my whole story or my whole paragraph there. So there are lots of places where I feel like I should have more sentences and give my reader a chance to breathe. Let's read this again. 1, 2, 3, let's go. I yelled. All at once, we stood up and ran to the yard. So I think that that's all pretty good right there. We thundered in our bare feet and full bellies into the grass where Freddie was waiting with her squeaky toy. Her ears were up and alert as we stepped onto the grass. Okay, so we thundered in our bare feet and full bellies into the green grass. I think if I get rid of this where and put a period here, that actually works out a lot better. We thundered in our bare feet and full bellies into the green grass. Freddie was waiting with her squeaky toy. Oh, let me read that again. Freddie was waiting with her squeaky toy. Her ears were up and alert as we stepped onto the grass. I think there wants to be a pause right there. Freddie was waiting with her squeaky toy. Yeah, that's a full and complete statement. Her ears were up and alert as we stepped on the grass. And then this should be a capital. All right, so great detective work, writers. I want to talk to you today about punctuation because when I look at your work, I see lots of great details, but in some pieces, I often see no punctuation marks. In other pieces, I saw too many ands. So some people say and. Some people don't put any periods. I know that in first grade, you all studied end punctuation to make your writing clear. Sometimes when you're writing quickly, and this happens to me too, you forget to write punctuation, like I forgot on that page. Today, I want to teach you that writers reread to make sure both that their writing says what they want it to and that it makes sense. They look for end punctuation to build this writing habit. It can help to stop after each page, reread and ask, did I use punctuation on this page so that it makes sense? All right, so readers, today you might be adding more details to your story. But one thing you're going to do for sure is look for the places where those periods go. Happy writing, friends. Enjoy your story. I can't wait to read the details that you're adding and the punctuation you're including.